the Android version a bit more. Well, it's the Android NPC version with the context loss. I think I still have the quad scene, or I call it the UI scene. It's the initial scene. I have an initial scene and a kind of like a game state scene with the Uber shader. I call it the map edit scene. I don't know why I'm trying to make it so I can edit the map first, but I just seem obsessed with following my own path here. I do want to have like a ring buffer for multiplayer and audio working and just kind of push it to the Play Store. Okay. And I did clone this onto Android Old yesterday, which is kind of really cool that it just worked kind of almost out of the box. But Android Old, you can't just press this play button and just send it to the device. It took about 5 steps. It wasn't that bad. Like once you know exactly what to do with the MK files or the make files for the NDK build system. And that only supports up to C++11, so this has to be always like C++11 and lower coded. And the problem with that is that when you're coding and you can be motivated by the C++ junkies to upgrade your C++ or find some new C++ code or library or something, some super fancy AI thing. Same. Test this. Hello, 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 hello. Alright, that works. Alright, so this is the first scene. It's just some quads. I did modify the shader a little bit on the PC and on the Android. And I made it look sort of ratio based, aspect ratio. I called it normalized relative. There was some other word too. Oh yeah, responsive. So this background map of the 2D platformer game platforms, so I can scroll the map using the touch by doing a not a drag, pointer position move. What is this function called? Let's just go into the code. I'm not in the right directory. It always goes back to this directory. Let's why? So should we open the fragment shader? Yeah, so the fragment shader does this. It's kind of quite a bit, but it's going to be even more later. So what it's doing in the graphics of core, and graphics and core should actually be in a different folder. It should be some sort of rendering thing, but then these files should be all broken down into 2 files, one for graphics and one for like logic or something. I didn't think about that for the UI. So I am kind of just really in the UI, and I just made normalized relative platform work. What was it going to show in this? The fact that I just divide by 64 and that's how I get my math done? I don't think I even put that into the update function, but I don't really need to. Yeah, I didn't. So when I create these quads, I just put a const size down, and I did the same value for my other version of the game. That way the quad can be told in pixels of what I want it to be, and then it converts it into like normalized dimension coordinates or whatever it's called, normalized coordinates. I don't think it's dimension, I think it's the D stands for something else. But it works. And then I calculate the quad's bottom left edge and bottom edge. And I don't want to multiply by 2 and subtract 1. I could. I don't know what it'll do. It'll just maybe make it bigger. What was I going to say about this? Something about something. Yeah, so this gets saved to a GElements graphics data, which I don't save yet. I mean, I save it, but I don't really use it to rebuild the entire scene. The button sort of works. If we click this, I'm going to press it with my finger. And we saw that this changed over here. It just replaced this, but the UV coordinates never got saved, so that happened. This quad is just a demonstration quad that we can have quads moving. There's also a rotating quad that I just commented out. So yeah, obviously this is very primitive, but it's actually very advanced too in some other aspect, because we can do this and we retain the state, and the UI still looks usable here on the left. Press the button again. Ugh. I have to do it like with my finger behind the kombucha bottle. Yeah, that thing moved, so I moved out of the way of that. And so I kind of wanted this perspective matrix, and then I thought about target camera. So I would need to convert this into a perspective target camera upgrade. And my math cameras has been like, it rusted dry, which means that like I forgot everything, but I've done it before. So like it's easier to code a quaternion camera or a target camera or orbit camera. And I forget if orbit is target camera, and I get confused because I've made like over 10 cameras already. So there would have to be like a little player that jumps around. So it's always nice to like open this on the PC, because I made this like GLFW for the PC, and game activity for the Android, and native activity for the Android. Now I'm kind of working on learning Metal, and kind of getting this to work on Raspberry Pi, but this should compile in Linux because of GLFW just fine. And the other reason is because of this is being compiled by GCC for GLFW on PC. So it's like, well, not really. That there is sort of some nuances. Like I would have to have rebuilt curl for Linux, and I think I have to rebuild curl for Raspberry Pi, because last time I blew up the OS by overriding the OpenSSL, and so it couldn't even log in. It had like a different version of OpenSSL that the OS didn't know how to use, and it was, yeah, the just the 8 or Debian 8 version. Yeah, so we see these same quads. I did the shader a little different, just so I can tell the difference. It's PC or Android. And here we see the same type of thing. The mouse. Oh, this is what I wanted to show. I wanted to go into how it's not in this normalized quad. It's inside the normalized new button and the gamma button. So we need to open the Greek alphabet here. Obviously, like we need the Greek alphabet. So like, how do we code without a Greek alphabet? Because it helps not using words like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for our class names as soon as we change something. And because like I refuse to use GitHub, which I can, but it's a lot more masochist organizationist. If I have like every version of the file, I can just globally call. So after gamma, it's delta. I'm learning the Greek alphabet here. There's only what? 6 times 4 letters, 24 letters? That's not a lot. And I already know like alpha, beta, gamma. I didn't know delta was like the 4th letter. Alright, so in the button class, we create the vertices, we make the indices. The vertices are like top right, bottom left, top left. You make a quad. Then you specify 6 indices to make that quad. The interesting part comes in here. Well, yeah, there's the update stuff. And then there's like the update with delta time, which we don't use yet, but I started to like code all this. And then I just like ripped out like what the AI wrote at the bottom here. It wrote some really cool code that like for some reason wouldn't even execute right. So I just said like get rid of this. Just make sure if like target state changed, just change the state. Seems like the logical thing to do, and then just do the logic. But on pointer down is when the device detects a pointer. There's also another parameter. I don't know if it's in pointer chords in Android that tells you the radius of the touch, like how much you're touching it. So like if you like really take your finger and like crack your screen, you are gonna like have a bigger raw radius touch. So you could actually detect that and send it over to your app, which I haven't done yet. And I still have to make double drag work. But I did query the AI and ask about it, how I would do that. So on pointer move is basically your mouse move. So what the Kulo engine does is it generalizes this. So you could see that on mouse move. Oh, why aren't we running? There's also a new bug that occurred, but it's kind of funny because it does this game abort whenever it detects any kind of key that's not in its preferences. Like I could press F4, like just some key it doesn't know about, and it'll just exit. But it kind of like lags and then exits. It's kind of funny the way it does it. So yeah, so if I press this button, it does the same thing as it would do in Android. And if I resize the window, you could see that these squares didn't really change from being squares. So they did update the vertices, but they did change size. Like they got smaller, but they will always fit the screen. This button did change its state, so it's like all these like little micro things. And also you can see that the platforms don't really change either. They keep their like aspect ratio because they're being divided by 64. I think they are getting smaller because the screen size is just getting smaller, but not by much. Like you're not gonna be able to play with this type of resolution unless you're like on a Raspberry Pi and you have like a really small LCD touchscreen or just touchscreen, or I mean LCD screen. Yeah, because like if your size is like this, you could obviously see more, but you could on the PC I made wheel scroll zoom out, and then the character shader needs or vertices need to be so we have to take the character class and update that because these are supposed to like add platforms. Now we could press the letter E and add platforms that way, but they don't add the right type of platform. So that's another thing we could do. I do kind of feel like working on Raspberry Pi version, but I have to get the text rendering to work on like all the versions again. And the Raspberry Pi version doesn't have index-based rendering, so I'd have to like code that. And I want to go to sleep early. Yeah, so this is having that like grid like. I did make a new grid shader. It'd be interesting to test out the new one that doesn't use. This is what this is using. It's horrible because it uses the length of the gradient function of dx and dy. And so what this function does is tank your performance. It's horrible functions. They do cool stuff. Like it returns the partial derivative of an argument in respect to x or y. What that is some calculus bullshit. But it's supported in OpenGL shading version, everything, but the one that's called what is DXDF course? It's only supported like with the compute shader type ones. Oh wow. Well, I think the compute shader starts at 4.6. I'm kind of lying, but 4.5 is almost compute shader level. Like what is FDX course? The difference between XDF fine and DFDX course. This is interesting. This is typical to consider 2x square fragments or samples compute independent dx define per row independent dx per column while computing only a single dx course and a single dxy course entire two. The derivatives are computed is by numerical differentiation. Yeah, it's just like kind of way over my head. Speaking in Hebrew or Greek or something. I mean, I don't know what I meant to say there, but oh, this is interesting. I would save as this document. I don't even care where. Just put it in downloads for now. Yeah. It's interesting to know, but the problem with this document is that a lot of this high-tech stuff doesn't really exist. Like you could software simulate it and then maybe cache it. Like I was reading more about text rendering, and you could create one quad and slap an image on there of the rendered quads, really make the text high performant. But there's kind of no reason to do that because if you have like an FPS counter and most of your text is changing like every second anyway, who cares? Sometimes you do care because you don't want to update the vertices. Like you just want to like update least possible. Like just update UVs or something. But if you're updating UVs and vertices at the same time, I don't think that the penalty is that high or that much higher if it's like on the same vertex. Which is an interesting test. You start actually coming up with what the performance tests would be when you try these things. Okay. Okay, so this is the little math library. We did need the math for something here. So let's just try to do something very simple, like draw the character right first. Let's open the scene file. It just looks like a behemoth of spaghetti code. Just monolithic, just spam of just here's this function, here's that function, but that's how it's growing. It's doing quite well because you could see here just by this header files. Started with normalized quad, moving quad, rotating quad, and so this works in its own normalized way. Like some of them are just relative to like the left and the right or something. And then later I just make it responsive, or I call it responsive, but other UI things will call it their own things. It just gets like UI-ish, and by UI-ish I mean like complex. You could have it like this and like that and be dynamically like from the right and from the left, and then you want it to move and what is that called? Not interpolate. What was the thing called in Flash? Like I want to go look at the Flash document and see how they did that one Flash-based game. Um, yeah, and I've looked at SVG rendering with SDF, and then some other. When I was just looking at font rendering, it was SDF. What was it? With one layer of red. Yeah, so it was like a one color SDF, which is actually interesting. I like that one because I only need one channel and I could recycle one texture. And you kind of want more textures around later for like if you want to do a sprite editor in your game, because like this game I want to have a map editor at least. Just like simple, not like you can just build the entire Unity 2D game project, but just kind of here's the map editor, you can make a map, you could share it with your friends, you could play it, whatever. That's like just minimal. And what we need is to go into core and graphics and fix the player quad. But I don't think this is, we don't know what the player quad is yet. It's probably normalized quad. We do know which one is the sprite, I believe. I think it's like add player quad function. So I made this like really dumb because I wanted to be able to just code it stupid and just get things to work like forcefully with or without the AI, and just sometimes my brain is like half alive from exhaustion after work, so I just like be like, all right, there's only one good strategy, and that's just like code and just like physically build the muscles in your brain. Like I know what to do. Like if I had the sleep and the time, it would just like come to me easily, especially for this simple like 2D game crap. But when you're like switching off and on between source engine, coding an RTS with your own engine, and a 2D platformer, you tend to forget like micro details about how to compile curl and like these like little nuances everywhere, which is okay. So this material ID is really a float number and some H file, just like a bunch of defines, which I was gonna load in Blender, my sprite map. This is kind of why I wanted to build a sprite editor in the game too. It's because like nobody's gonna make a sprite map the way I did by just creating this like crazy sprite map and then just cutting it up in Blender. That's just like masochist. By masochist, I mean this was like a mathematical term. Uh, my high school honors math teacher used. It's when you like take like a proof and you just do like nearly an infinite amount of math to just prove that it's right or something, or to get the results. It depends, but it just I think it just means like do hours and hours of a lot of repetitive or redundant type of logical work in order to achieve divine results. But the tragedy is you get cancer and burn your hair gray. It's kind of like there's kind of ups and downs about this method. You, you drink a bunch of coffee and lose sleep, and then people start taking Adderall, and that's not good either. Okay, so this is how I did the sprite sheet. Obviously, I started out like in Paint and in GIMP and was like copy pasting the coordinates over. And then I was like, well, it's so much easier to do it like this because it's visual. So maybe like if there was a sprite editor, it'd be good to like just make a mini blender because some of the sprites are actually triangles and some of the sprites can be hexagons too. But for like the initial just build the game, this was sufficient, I think. Just like the spin dash, which is the circle thing, the shopping cart, the skateboard looking, I don't know what that thing is, but I think it's the skateboard. And here in Blender, you can name the quads or the planes. In OpenGL, we call them quads. In Blender, we call them planes. So like Fat Guy 2, and I named everything so that way it'd be easier to just convert that into the list of stuff. Yeah, this one's the Fat Guy 2. Obviously, I've seen some people online that they have like these sprite editors and they're all like nice and they have animation and everything. And I was like, no. What if I just did this? I cut these out. I could recycle them the way I want to. Yeah, it was more about forcing the DIY to work a certain way. Because like some of them have different aspect ratios. I don't know how that matters, but for some people they would say that's redundant or whatever. Or like cutting up this button in different ways. There is a logical reason for it, but it's a very like thing. Alright, so these are like 64 by 64 and they're all in one texture. That's what matters. And so he gets this player sprite, creates this quad in this class, which is a new normal player quad, which we have to change the type of. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make like add player quad 2. And we're gonna rename it to something like even more interesting, like add player scale quad 2, responsive quad 2. We already used responsive for the platforms, so we have to kind of follow that convention. So like copy paste the code and just change the part that we need. I do need to make a scrolling layer or a scrolling panel. I don't know how you think about it. If you're like a Photoshop person, think about it all like in layers. If you're like a Blender person, it's just a basically UV coordinates changing on a plane. I don't know. Or you could also think about a plane moving on top of a plane. It's like weird. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get that today. So it's just like real quick. So it has to get the scene manager, which it will, most likely, of course. At the end, it has to get the vertex count because the renderer needs to know how much it's drawing. And it just creates some indices and vertices. And it passes in the indices and vertices so it can um, put more stuff into them. And what we need is this planar normal quad, OpenGL normalized quad. We're going to call this OpenGL player responsive normalized quad because we could always copy paste this over later. We're going to open a new thing with this one. And then we're going to, this is the normalized button, right? What if we click on the player? I don't know, he could giggle or something. He could also be a button. But since he's in the perspective, we would have to ray trace in order to detect that. which would be interesting. We could backwards ray trace somehow too, I think. Or like it's like if pointer down, and you like take the matrices and invert them, or I don't know. So let's not worry about that stupid thing. We have to. It's normalized platform quad really. Is what's going to be the duplicate here. So let's just put this in here. I like to have the C++ name of the file, the first line after the two comments of the code, and it'll be named normalized relative player quad, I believe. Yeah, that's C++. And the reason is like when I just take this code and copy paste it into the AI, if I can get like suggestions, or what I'm just gonna copy paste and do because I have like no time or something. Depends on the situation, or like just a critique of like which way I should steer next. And it's like I don't have to put like file name colon. It's this. I could just copy paste one file, copy paste the next file, and it's a lot better than using some kind of coding agent that can delete my code somewhere in the terminal. Like no, I don't want it to give it that access. I don't want to deal with that headache. It's just going to give me the code, and I'm going to copy paste it the way I want it. So that's the reason behind that. So this is OpenGLES player responsive normalized quad, and this was OpenGL normalized relative platform quad. Okay, I'm gonna replace that. The naming kind of changed, but we could just whatever. Just gonna do it like this. .h already exists. Oh, did I already make it? Yeah, I did. Okay, so I have to replace this. Why didn't it work? Normalized platform quad. Oh, it's smoked out. Whatever. Then the info will be Kulo quad. Player info, I guess. Whatever. Don't have to overcomplicate this. Just one copy paste. Alright. We're gonna get rid of this. Don't need that anymore. And the most important part is already here. The only reason these two are separated, they could be the same thing, like a generic thing object, which might be nice, and it might be not nice, and then just have a type. But for now, let's just work more on the rendering, render, or the graphics GPU, sanity of cross-platform BS shit. Alright, we need to add this to the CMake file. For PC, this is star.c++ and the build command, so we don't need to add it there. Which is kind of cool. For the older Android, we do need to add it to the MK file, but we're not going to build that today. I'm just going to do this. And maybe the... What was the other thing? Oh, fix UVs on this. Maybe add the platform. No, just fix the UVs. So you have to add this in here. And then, might as well just take this, copy paste it into the scene file, H file, and include this H file, the relative player thing. We could close this for a second. We're going to rebuild it anyway. I like the mouses with the where you could tab click like this. So I got a new mouse where it has all like the RTS buttons. That's the 1 through 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. But that's kind of cool. But since I'm working on the RTS engine on that computer, that's like an interesting thing to have. And what it really does, just by coincidence, is that it switches the camera type because that's what I bound my, and that actually works kind of cool. Like it uh it checks out. So I just kind of like made a feature just by whatever accident, but it's like kind of like doesn't seem like an accident. Oh yeah, here it's trying to explain like Raspberry Pi Zero Buster Debian 10 and how it's slower from Raspberry Pi Zero in particular. Yeah, I'm trying to build like a pipeline where the device can be like a keyboard and you could play it through multiplayer because the device you're playing it on is a keyboard and you're sending the keystrokes through the USB. I mean, obviously Raspberry Pi can connect as like a network card thing. What was that thing called? G Ether, whatever it's called. There's some name for it, I forgot. But yeah, like when you plug it in and you SSH into it, you can enable the thing. I call the thing and G Ether in the config. If I had one connected right now to this computer, I'd be able to just like open the network thing and tell you what it's called. All right, and yeah, Raspberry Pi just goes down all these rabbit holes of all the cool things you could try to do hardware-wise. Okay, and that's kind of good. Like it makes you learn like about all these like rabbit tunnels. Okay, let's see what happens when we compile. So like in my PC main file, like the PC main file is a separate file, obviously, than Android main. So PC main got its name from Android. Android is like the coolest. Because I think Chrome OS can run Android. I don't know. You could also make this like a Android PC type build version, which would be different than this GLFW version. But this GLFW version can be put on Steam or put on itch really. And while I build with Visual Studio a Steam version, because the goal is to have like a lot of platforms, multiplayer, map editor, sound, and gamepad support. It's like a engineering architectural stupid nightmare, but who cares? It's like a simple game. It should be able to do this like in a day, or like have. I have some of the API stuff done, kind of like, oh, it works. So we have to declare a new player thing. Yeah. The other player one, oh yeah, we can't just do that. I mean, we can. I will redo that, but I have to go in here, find this one. Yeah, okay, it's initialized to 0. Good. And under player quad, we see what pointer class it's pointing to. So it's kind of like a really spaghetti way to build it, but it gets things onto the screen. Oh, that wouldn't work. The type can't be the variable name. It's just gonna throw an error at us. It's gonna scream at us and be like pissed. Okay, so It'll initialize this quad, create these vertices. Left edge percent. I really hate this left edge percent. And this parameter call is not going to work. This is the wrong parameters for this. We need to find the right parameters. Normalize player quad. For create geometry, we need to tell it the x, the y, the width, the height, the sprite. So let's just like copy paste this whole function. I forget what it's called. Pretty header thing. There's some stupid name I forgot. Okay. I'm just gonna do it like this. Just uncomment this out. Put this here. Since we don't have an x and y and width, we'll just copy paste this to declare them. We do have a sprite ID already. So sprite ID real w is going to be window width, which is it needs for calculating. It doesn't actually need it in this particular case, but we might as well because some of the other stuff that we do have like normalized and not relative. This would just do this, I believe. Or copy paste what was in the other one. Right? Yeah, it's just indices and vertices and member VBO. It's just easier to just mass pass this. Who cares? Alright, sprite ID we have. Height we're gonna make. Width we're gonna make. And X and Y. So the player, let's say, is located at 64.0f, which will divide by 1. I mean, it'll divide out by 64. We don't want to do this equals 64 equals 64 thing. But what we're going to do is just make all these equals 64 on their own line because they will be later independent variables. So we can't just go this equals 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 all this. We should be able to see it on the screen somewhere. So now the problem is just getting this to compile. Sometimes I like to compile them both at the same time, but who cares? And we could try another device. Well, let's try to cook up just so I can prove that this works more on a more modern device, because the device it's like going to work on is like a medium device. Alright, I'm on the right Wi-Fi, because I have to have them all on the right Wi-Fi, because I separate the Wi-Fis in order to just like make the main Wi-Fi have less traffic. Which is stupid because this stupid webcam is running on the Wi-Fi the Androids are, or the LAN. It has its own LAN because it also has the LAN. The computer's on the LAN of the router, while the phones are on the Wi-Fi. It's like you're not gonna doggle every phone with the Cat 5 or whatever. Cat 6, Cat 7 now. They update quad geometry is not declared in the scope. Smoke crack, I don't care. Cannot convert OpenGL responsive quad to OpenGL responsive relative platform. Where does it find relative platform? Oh, it's like stupid. Oh, right here. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, relative platform quad. Oh, we copy pasted from the wrong file. That's always good. I can't even read that. Like, that's getting way too long, but I don't think I can do anything about that right now. We do kind of rely here on small compile times, but the compile time is getting larger and larger, as you could tell. It's like, it's actually faster on Android. Let's see what the compile time is on Android. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. But we should fail too. 16, 17. I've seen it recompile like one single file in like 2 seconds. Yeah, it's because this error. We're just not passing in stuff right. It's not like a big deal. Oh, I see what the error is. We didn't have to go ask the AI to fix the easiest stupid thing possible. So we have this, right? So we have to have the class do it. There's no function like this here. The class has the function. So the class gets constructed, initialized, or allocated. That's the other problem right here in this code, is this is being nude. Not naked, but it's being mallocked. The equivalent of this is malloc size of, like, whatever the class's struct size is, or the thing, it's bloated vtable object, whatever you call that. I would actually have to do a little reading and just so I get the vocabulary right and how to pronounce what's happening there. But there is some problems with that. The not problematic thing is though, it's the fact that it does this before the game launches. So like it does all of this in the loading stage and it's done. So it's like who cares for this particular thing. You could pre-allocate a bunch of thing objects and then just do it that way. All right. So is this what we did? This is what we did. We added PZ. Okay, cool. He's here. So can we manipulate him? We should. We should give him some chicken on the bone. Chicken on the bone is a uh, Metropolitan Detention Center special meal every like month or something, given to inmates. That's real chicken. That's fried stuff. That's. I should actually figure out how to make chicken on the bone. I have some in the refrigerator. Oh, whoops, some key got pressed. Alright, so they compiled on PC. On PC, the GCC doesn't work, but we could always make Visual Studio or GCC work on Linux. I mean GDB, sorry. But the GDB does work on this Android, obviously, with Clang. So Clang is like better than GCC, but GCC is more like thoroughly cooler to code on. So whatever. So we can move that. It's the wrong orientation. It's not detecting my click, even though I'm pressing on it with my finger. Let's connect the other phone. It's gonna detect the click. I don't care. It's like something is messed up with the more normalized coordinates here. Yeah, so it's upside down, but that's supposed to be that way because we rotated it. So yeah, that's the cool thing about the Android. It's like got like cool stuff about it. Like weird stuff like this can happen, and sometimes it like happens some weird ways. It's kind of funny the way it behaves. There's some ways to make it do stuff that's kind of funny. So we're gonna pair the other phone. That way we're like device. We're in a good habit of testing multiple devices, at least two. Like I could hook up two more and maybe even three. There was a problem, an error during Wi-Fi pairing initialization. I haven't had this error. Maybe I've had it once. Like what the fuck? Oh, there we go. It just appeared. That's probably why. Because it was already on the list. Like usually when it's on the list, I have to forget the pair of devices and go back, and then it works. Like it's sometimes really complainy. So on this one, if I click, it'll like disconnect. It does that, yeah, because this device has some sort of security feature. It's a little bit more newer. So we see that the shader works. Okay, then we'll press the upper tab. So yeah, This is the newer device, and I have the debug on how, where I'm clicking. So here on this device, you see how nicely it is that you could see where I'm touching it versus like clicking the mouse. Well, that disconnects it. On the other one, the mouse clicks do work, so we can actually test keyboard input on the Nokia on the HTM Global N, which stands for Nokia 156DL. Yes, so on this one, I should make the keyboard work so I can have the mouse scroll actually zoom in and out. What the hell happened here? Why isn't it showing it? It's running on the phone. Like, I can see it physically. So, do I close this? Can I close this tab? Oh, closing that tab? Reset this. Huh. That's interesting because Android Studio did something on its own. Okay, it's reconnecting through ADB or whatever the thing is. Okay, now this device is like upside down while this device is right side up. Okay, cool. What was the other thing we wanted to do? Oh, yeah, like move the player, for example. Like, how would we achieve that? What would happen during the update? We would need to fix the update because the platforms on the update are broken too. All we really need to do is replicate how these NDC width and NDC height and bottom left edge are calculated when we do the because this quad info is what we're going to modify. We'll modify this X and Y. The reason I kind of had, I don't know, instinctively it made me do it, or coding made me do it, having this quad info and this element index, because this element index shouldn't be part of the class because it goes into that other yeah, it's kind of weird. It's weird to explain why. Yeah. But since it's like a struct, it's just kind of like these global variables of the UI, and these ones ended up being more of the graphics features. So I don't know if there's a way to flip this to where there would be a class that would hold these graphics features later and make it more generic. But you can't because some of the features of the graphics, yeah, maybe you could have a graphics class and an info class. Uh, yeah, it just keeps getting like weird like that. Like you're like in a recursive loop of trying to change this code and this code, but then all you have to do is just replicate this into a new class, throw it in, maybe have some abstract class under it, and then have the abstract class have a base class. Or, I don't know. Stupid object-oriented programming. Just like make it like C style. Who cares? Like yeah, maybe I should recode the C style. Just see how that would look. It would just maybe be all like easier to make like entity component just mass ECS system later on. Alright, so the player is going to have this update function, right? It is update quad geometry, not update. Update is like you update like shit with the sorry stuff with the UI. So here we see it's a different equation. Yeah, it's not really that complicated. It's like it tries to take it off the left edge, and the right edge is calculated off the left edge, and the width. Yeah, it's a little different, but basically, let's just keep this code here to just know, just by the height of the code, and modify it to be this, because it'll just go in there, and then the width. Where is the right edge? No, wait. Bottom edge. Okay, whoops. We have to look at this. We actually need 7 lines of code. Yeah. Whoops. That's what I got wrong. Bad copy paste. A bad copy paste person sometimes. Well, who cares? Alright, these new. Why did we leave this? There was something different about this and that. There is more variables we could change. We could also change ST in order to make the player do some stupid effect. But we would have to put it in info. Let's just do this for now. Okay, so he has an update function. Will his UVs change? No, it's not changing his UVs here. So load level 2. We are need like this type of weird callback thing function. It's like it calls the class from calling like a regular C function. This thing. Map edit action move left bridge. It sort of bridges the class functions to the callback of the button, which if we were pressing the joystick, it'd be okay. Which we kind of can code right now, but we just don't have time. So let's just do action player underscore move left bridge scene action player move left, and like we would want the button to light up too. That would be interesting, but yeah, it's like you could keep being tedious for a little while for this. Let's just define these. We're gonna have move left, move right. We could have up and down, but then later we could have jump and duck and up and down or something. Like he looks up, like Sonic looks up, or he ducks, and like he looks down after a while. Yeah, you could like invent. You could also have spin dash. Like in my other one, I learned that instead of doing the spin dash like Sonic, he holds down and presses jump or something, which you can do it that way too. Or you can just have a button for spin dash and just like instant spin dash, and that actually feels kind of better. It just feels more like modern and simpler. I don't know. But you could have like both, and you could have an ultra dash thing, which is like you just like press the direction because you have two of those joysticks on the gamepad, and one will do that with the cooldown while there's another spin dash, so you could like double spin dash, and that just like has a really good feeling. I've tested it in WebGL. It was not that bad. All right, so like if we wanted to do the thing I just talked about, we would need like I don't know 16 of these or something. No, maybe 12, maybe 8 at least. Well, minimum I think 8. And then we would still need like a coordinate one. Let's just concentrate on 4. It's already like way too much. So, where's this bridge thing? We're still gonna need to like define all this somehow. Yeah, action move. Yeah, it's gonna need to have all these actions for action move left. Yeah, so it finds this quad. Okay, let's code this action move left to player. Kind of code them one after the other. One after the bridge function. Again, keep stacking like a commented out list of what they're called. And instead of this responsive UI alpha quad, it'll be the because later what you do is like you send it to the player action class or the player controller class instead of sending it directly to the graphics like this. Like you update the quad. It's just easier to like get started this way. We're not going to update the Y, just the X, because we're moving left. I don't know if that's a plus. We'll just plus 0.5. It's fine. And then for move right, we'll just copy paste left. Well, the reason we're keeping the Y is for up and down, I'm just going to copy paste again. Just to keep it simple. Let's move this crap over. So this left will turn into right. Plus x minus for the Y info position will be minus now. Garbage. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, action player move right. I'll just put this here. Take this crap. So if it's up, yeah, move down will minus y instead of minusing minus y. Uncomment this. Rename function. The reason I'm keeping a list of these is I'm just going to copy paste them later into the H file. Save myself like the headache of going back and finding all of them. And yeah, I have this ifdef here, stupid ifdef. I will have to change stuff inside that ifdef, but it's not necessary. It's just like the debug printout. It's your classic, just print everything to the screen when this event happens. It lags, but it's kind of good and bad. I've seen a really cool effect happen because of that lag on the Raspberry Pi, because you could really see the lag when you're like overprinting. Even on the PC, you could see the. Alright, so we just need like void all this. Alright, let's see if this compiles. Like, what will happen? We don't have buttons for this yet, though. Damn it. We could just bind a button on key press and he'll just move. There's also an option to do that within this code. But the whole reasoning you want it to be touchscreen first is because on the older Android, I don't think you're allowed to hook up the gamepad. Maybe you are, but like you could even maybe hook up keyboard to it too, but with USB HUD. But you want to be able to have the player just take it and be able to move the player with touchscreen no matter what. And then later you think about, oh, Windows has touchscreen too. What if I want to do that? It's like, damn it. Did it compile? Yeah. Let's see what happens if we run it. It should not do anything yet. No, it doesn't do anything. Cool. Whatever. It looks like it crashes, but it actually aborts. Because if you like close it like this. See how smooth that is? That's funny. There's some sort of like pooling thing it does that it's just like lagging it. I don't think I even have these quads defined. It's like load UI 2. Yeah. Let's just define another sprite. It would be cool if we could flip the sprite on the button somehow too. Is there a sprite ID player? Player 1. Let's make the sprite ID player 1 for the button. Alright, and this is how I define my buttons. Is it? UI panels 2. There should be less than, there should be just 4. Why is there so many? Does this function get called? That is the question. The answer is no. Add gamma buttons UI. Oops, that's what we need to do. Alright, so we only have 4 here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 10%. I actually want to do it after this. Where's the delimiter? Okay, it's down there. Let's just like make this faster than it needs to be. Oh, whoops. Because we already have those other IDs allocated for something. Button start player X. What if we had a button start player X2 negative 7.5? I don't know. Whatever. It'll just be these two variables somehow. How I'm gonna do this math is like, I don't know. I'm just gonna try to just use my math skills as good as possible. And then since that one was minus, this one must be plus. And what we need to add here, which I don't think I even have coded into this button. Yeah, these buttons don't have this coded. How would I do this? Well, this is why we might need a... Let's just see how this looks. Basically, you make a callback, and you assign it the function pointer to those 4 functions I made and just call them. So you do it. I go to sleep right now though. I could grind this out, grind code this out. No problem, but here, I'll just show this part of it. It's loading on this phone because it had this set. So we have more buttons right here. Damn it, it's under this button. How do we move this crap? Oh, this is like the new button. We just need to move it. Let's move it to like the center. What is that new button called? Add a responsive quad alpha. It's whatever button that has the callback. It's this thing. It's responsive UI button beta. Beta has the callback. Okay. Where do we spawn this beta bullshit? We spawned it at horizontal left edge and right edge of 0, 5. This is actually the X and the Y. Is this by percent? What if we say, what if vertical and horizontal is flipped? Because I did some boo-boo bullshit. I don't care. Just set it to 50. Or 0.50, I mean 50%. 50 relative is 50% on screen because, yeah. Let's just run the PC main since it's compiled. Yeah, these buttons are like, so we see one is over here, one is over here, and somehow, why is this one here and this one here? The X worked right, making it 10% that way and this way. The Y is like down here, but why are they not on the same? Alright, let's just move this button out of the way. Move it here to the center. I got something in the math wrong. Let's just look at this again. Alright, so X, Y. Oh, Y never got my plussed. And this has the wrong X. Okay. And that makes perfect sense. Because it should look like kind of like a square. Like the idea is to have it like the very simple arrow gamepad like this. What the? Why? It's smoked out? What's wrong here? One, two, three, 4, 5. 5 seconds is not that bad for rebuild. And 3 seconds to push it with the device. Alright, so it did work. And why did this crap not move? But the gamepad thing that I was talking about did work. The sprite IDs did not make the sprite ID player though. I messed up and didn't use the right sprite IDs. Oops, what if I press this? Alright, so we see we added more buttons on the screen. Yeah, so on the PC screen it looks different. They will get skewed differently depending on how I resize. Oh no they don't. Yeah they do. No they don't. They get farther away the bigger. Yeah, so it'll need its own button type, probably. It's kind of like, it's a little different than the way I would want the map editor interface to function. Yeah, like look how far those are away from each other. They just keep getting farther. This stupid button's still in the way. Why? Why isn't it like over here? Oh, we have to check why. It's just like so. Curiosity wants the cat treats. Okay, horizontal percentage 50. Direction. X1. Oh, this is why. Because it's actually at negative 0.7. Since its width is 0.3, the half of this is 15, right? So if we start at 0, and we're at 15, would it be negative or positive? I don't know. What do we, oh, we should just like save this value. I don't know why I keep saving these stupid values. Whatever. Just, we have to save. Stupid save, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Alright, so that button moved. Does that look like it's in the center? Or it looks like it's a little bit more to the right. Yeah, so those are the buttons you would press to move player. Cool. Alright. Do more of this later. Oh yeah, if I press like E, WASD, it moves my camera also on this. It's kind of cool because you could kind of debug a little bit more on the PC sometimes on Android. It depends. It's kind of funny doing it like this. Yeah, so this is this box in the center. I can't really tell. Like, if I loaded GIMP. Oh, the screenshot button is banned. Shit. Garbage. Die. Sorry. Demolition, emotional distress. Problems. PTS quads. 544. How long was this? 278. I mean, 1279 or 1280. If you add 540 to each other, you get 10. That's not 1080. So it is a little bit more to the right. So I did the math wrong. Maybe I should have put it to 0. But it should be 0.30 in length. Let's just say the screenshot for the funny screenshots. There'll be button layouts prototyping. Alright, do more of this later. Later, it'll be funner when the player starts jumping and there's actually like items and triggers. Right now, it's very like dry. More like boilerplate math, boilerplate graphics, everything. Libraries, hard coding, the classes. Yeah, because next I need to add the callbacks. It'd be cool to also do the whole multi-thread to do something to make it like load resources in the background and have it load